Now, the video is going to be in two parts. And before I introduce that video, I have to apologize and give you a warning. So the quality of the picture is really, really poor. I inadvertently changed the settings when I was recording, and I've been unable to make the picture any sharper than it is. Now, as a consequence of that, Synth appears, the picture's blurred. Plus, as a bonus, you never get to see me. So you hear my voice, but you never see me, and Synth is blurred. So I just really, really apologize, and I'll make sure this doesn't happen again. But I thought the information was so important that I wanted to get it out anyway. If you want to know which cryptocurrencies or altcoins to invest in for long-term, medium-term, or short-term, or to trade in, then take a look at Tokenmetrics. Tokenmetrics uses artificial intelligence-based crypto indices, rankings, and price predictions to give you the best possible altcoins and cryptocurrencies to hodl or trade with. Use my affiliate code for a massive 10% off and 3 months free on the yearly plan. Link in the description below.
We're trying to write a roadmap, and I'm doing the code review, and I'm seeing what was done, what wasn't done, what needs to be done, and how long it's going to take. And I think we're going to have to go through, and the first 3 months of next year are just going to be spent hiring, screening, training new developers, and getting those things knocked out, because there's some rough edges that we need to go, and I'm still evaluating how bad it is. Like, some of the things were really bad, but it only took us 1 hour or 2 hours to fix. We just deleted 85% of the direct or indirect dependencies of the CX chains. So we went in there and we had 250,000 lines of code that were being pulled in and deleted, which is gone. Boop! It took us 1 hour because we just deleted like 2 libraries, and they were pulling all this crap and that we didn't need. So I'm just going in there and cleaning out the imports, and then internally within CX, we have to rename things and move modules and check public interfaces and you know, sometimes the developer put some tool inside that library, but it should be its own repo. But that was done 2 years ago, and he didn't blah 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 blah, and we had to change the interface because it needs some library that can only be imported internally from the thing, and then, you know, blah 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 blah. So we're moving a lot of things, renaming things, updating documentation. So I'm just doing house cleaning right now. And then once the house cleaning is done, then we have the flood of new developers come in, which is I bring in a new developer and I say, hey, write me Twitter on CX. You have 2 hours, and we see, can he install it? Can he get it to run? Can he send me a screenshot showing it's running? And can he write an app that does 1 or 2 things in an hour? And if he can't do that, it's not ready, and I need to fix it. So I'm having him come in, see if you follow the instructions. Does it work? Does it run? Do you have any problems? And then if the documentation is wrong, fix it. If the program's wrong, or there's some bug, fix it. And then coming in and ensuring that they can come in and do rapid, agile application development. So this is something like, here's Golang, write a Twitter clone in 2 hours. And this is what I do to screen developers. So we're having them come in, and we're verifying that the workflow, that these tools work, that people can use them, and that they can be used in a production environment. So this is just, it's really exhausting, because I'm going through and doing check sheets of 150. You know, the plane's taking off. Is there no fuel? Does the left runner work? Does the right runner work? Does the left engine work? Does the right engine work? Does the fuel pump work? Does but you're just going down the list, making so it's really an exhausting, annoying process, and boring. And I don't know if anyone even listening to this cares, but this is what we're doing. It's just going down the list, like blah, 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 blah. And that's been my whole life for the last month. And people have wondered, where am I? Why did I disappear? Why am I not on Telegram? And it's because I'm doing code review.
Right.
So
Which sounds like a lot of fun, right? So is
yeah.
there going to be some sort of article outlining what you're
When we get to it? Yes. So we just finished CX chains, and now I'm doing the CX code review, and I'm doing some. There were only like 2 or 3 changes to Skycoin, because the Skycoin repo is pretty mature. And I think we're gonna I wanted to write this roadmap 2-3 months ago, and I haven't had time. And then I started the code review, and then after the code review is done, then we're gonna set out the roadmap. But I think even by the time I have this out, most of the stuff's already to be done. And in some areas, we're actually running out of work. Like in our,
I think it'd be a good idea to do something sooner. Even don't wait for the code review, because life would have moved on quite a bit. But something that people who are Skycoin holders can see now, or pretty soon. It doesn't need to be very detailed.
I didn't even do any marketing. I just, instead of like going and say, we're going to do this, it's just like, fucking do this right now. and we went out, we did it. We took 2 hours. We made a lot of changes, and a lot of them didn't take very long. But we have to go through, and sometimes it's just easier to do the thing than talk about it. So I've just been in the mode of terrorizing them. Get the thing done now. Uh, get done 1-2 days. You know, blah blah blah, done, and we're just because we have a list of 160 things, so we're just knocking them off. And then what I want is to get the end product, which is the VPN, the consumer apps, the decentralized Twitter, the decentralized chat apps, the file sharing. I want to get to the endpoint, which is where we're able to package the app and release it. So we were going to say like, yeah, this VPN app is coming out, and blah 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 blah. I don't want to talk about it. I want them to package the app. I want to run it on Windows and OS X, and I want it working. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to publish the news. I just want it done. And then after it's out for a month and it's running and it works already, and we have 10,000 users testing it, then we're going to announce it and try to do some marketing. But I just, between the review and the fixing the things and the HR and getting the HR pipeline, I haven't had time for anything else. I've only been able to do 1 or 2 things at the same time. So the marketing is really suffered, and the communication with the community has really suffered because we're just trying to get things done now. So I
any
think
plans to address that currently with
we
regards
want
to
to.
marketing and
So
communication?
right now, the HR for the developers is the highest priority. So once the HR for the developers is set up, the developers are trained, they're working. We found good people, and we have a good development velocity on all the projects, and they're staffed.
Mhm.
Then I can start looking at hiring more marketing people, training them, making sure that they're doing the things and I want to get some people in the office. I don't want to do this remote marketing. It was a disaster. It's never worked. It's just too annoying. So but then we have the visa issue too. Like we can't get, and then also not everyone can do this. We've had a lot of attempts basically at building out a marketing operation, and they've never worked. But I think 50% is better than nothing. But I don't even have time to actually hire them, train them, monitor them. I don't have time because I have to hire the developers now. I need to make sure that I have to get 3 development teams set up right now. They have to be working, and they have to be running at full speed within 3 months, so that we can have these products ready by next July or mid-year next year. So, and then the code review has to be done now because that's setting the priority for the things that we immediately need to do, and also the development screening tasks for the new developers. And then after that, we're gonna have some bandwidth. So I think for the marketing, all we need to do right now is start the newsletter up again, because we had like hundreds of thousands of people in this newsletter and we haven't been sending it out. Publish the roadmap, and get at least 1 tweet every week on Twitter. If we do a major software release, push it out. But the best and most important thing I think we need to do is get the consumer apps out, which is the CX chains, the decentralized social media, the VPN, and we have all these things that were done a while ago, even a year ago, but they're not packaged, so they're not something I could just download and run.
Sure,
so now we're working on packaging, so that you can have an app, you can open it on Mac and run it. So what we're doing now in the roadmap is just packaging apps that we did a year ago or 2 years ago, like the CX environment and the VPN and it's surprisingly annoying actually, because you have a different package on Debian and other Linux and OS X and Windows, and every single operating system needs its own package. So and then we have 6 or 8 apps, so we're trying to figure out a way to bundle them. So for Skywire, we had 3 separate executables that would have to be distributed separately. We eliminated one of them and merged them in so that we have 2 executables now. And then we're figuring out how to get rid of the third one so that we can have 1 executable for the 8 apps that we're launching. So this bundling and having a launcher and a taskbar icon and things like that, this is something we wanted to do a year ago, but we couldn't because the libraries were not at that point for cross-platform taskbar icons. Now Golang has a library for cross-platform taskbar icons that seems to work and which doesn't seem to break our cross-compilation environment. And we have other things we have to do, like we're setting up deterministic builds, so that if any of our developers build the binary, that every person with the same source code will get the same executable. binary, to make sure there's no backdoors, no bullshit. That we're getting verifiable deterministic builds for every part of the Skycoin ecosystem, and that's the hardware wallet, the Skywire, the VPN, the daemons, the microservices, the things that we deploy, in the cloud and deploy in our Docker instances. And we're also moving towards using this stuff internally. So, like, I have a computer, and I have to set up a network card, and I have 8 ports on the computer, and each port is a Docker. I have a Docker instance, a virtual machine, and each port gets a hardware Ethernet interface. And to be able to launch up these things, and it's stuff for companies that they're going to need, and we need to make sure that we support these standard configurations so that this guy can have one computer with 8 virtual machines on it that each are running one application, and that they show up on the network. You can connect to them; they work. They show up on the company's VLAN. And it's so, and we're testing the virtual network right now for VLAN use for companies, and we're testing having a computer where one of the ports comes in from the internet, right? It comes in from the cable modem, the fiber, the whatever, right? And another port on that machine, all the data going through that port gets tunneled over Skywire, is on their corporate VLAN. So we're testing that now. So this and getting it working, and it mostly works. But there's some things, and like we found, like some websites, it works. Like YouTube works perfectly. We're getting 150 megabit per second on YouTube. It works great. But then there's some websites and some pictures don't load, and we're trying to figure. It's like some HTTPS, something with the proxying, something with how we implemented it.
That's incredible. All this review and building and getting it ready for consumer use, whether it's individuals like myself or corporates and organizations. Okay, so I want to move this on a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And I've got an idea for the roadmap, which I'll mention to you separately, which is what about the Skycoin? Where do you see that going, given where it is right now, and given the bull market that's coming? I think people are going to be interested in knowing about that.
So the market has been really weird. We've had people come in and they started pumping, and the price went up 30%. The price just went up 80% like yesterday, and Skycoin was on the top 3 largest gainers on Binance, like I think 3 or 4 or 5 times in the last like 2 months. And I don't really know what's going on. I don't know who's doing it. I don't really, in terms of the market, I've actually just stopped looking at the market, and I just don't have time. I have to get this stuff done. So that's another thing that I've dropped that we're going to have to start looking into. And we've also, if you look, we've listed on like 6 or 8 new exchanges, and I can't even remember them. They're like BitThis, BitX, XBit, whatever I can't remember. But we're out because a lot of the US users and other users are locked out. So we did some exchange listings, but now we have to have people trading on those exchanges and keeping the prices within the range and this other stuff. And we didn't really have infrastructure, so we don't have a market maker doing that, and we have to find some guy who wants to do that, and make sure that there's at least someone in the community watching that exchange and providing liquidity, and making sure that the prices are within the range, so they're not getting scalped, right? So, but anyway, it's just a lot. It's just a lot of stuff. So I've just cut it down into 2 or 3 things that I want to get done in the next 2-3 months, and I've just dropped everything else because that's basically the only thing that I can do. It's what I have to do, and it is what it is.
I got it. So there's a lot going on. I completely got it. And anything else you want to say? I'll have all the links in the description below and stuff. Is there anything else you want to let people know before we finish up?
I don't know what's going to happen. I think that we're going to see a huge rally with Bitcoin and crypto. And I think if the stock market crashes, a lot of the money is going to go into Bitcoin, and people are, they're going to start panicking. And we haven't seen the economic impact of the coronavirus. We've seen the businesses shut down. We've seen, we haven't seen 10, 20 million people get evicted from their houses yet. We haven't seen the debt defaults. We haven't seen the impact on the mega corporations. And we haven't seen their corporate bond interest rates skyrocket. And the dominoes, really, the economic crisis is going to be next year. It hasn't started yet. And what's going to happen with it, I have no idea. I know the governments are going to ban crypto. I know major crypto channels are getting removed left and right. Doesn't matter who you are, how connected you are. You know, people who got invited to the Google party at Davos, you know, and some bloggers, they're getting their Bitcoin videos annihilated, removed, shadow banned on, taken down on YouTube. And you know, it doesn't matter. They met Eric Smith, the Google Christmas party at Davos. It doesn't matter. They don't give a shit. They're, you know, Bitcoin gone. So I think that we're going to see. I don't know. I think next year is going to be crazy, and I think it's going to be good for crypto. But I also think that crypto is going to be driven underground. I think that it's going to be a really rough year. It's going to have a lot of upside, and it's also going to have a lot of downside, because you can imagine if all these people are trying to get out of dollars and they're trying to get into crypto or to some other currency, but at the same time the government is annihilating, banning all crypto content on YouTube and Twitter, and you know, going after with new regulations and new, like if you look at the law, the regulations that the U.S. government just passed. This law says that, like, if you have, like, for instance, $3,000 of Bitcoin on Coinbase, they will not let you withdraw that money to your wallet. They say if you want to withdraw your money from the exchange, you have to prove who the recipient is. You have to give KYC on the recipient. You cannot withdraw your own money. They're trying to track withdrawals and transfers on exchanges. So this era of Bitcoin, you know, Wild West, and I can do whatever I want, and they're going to say, no, you can't. That address hasn't been registered with the U.S. government. Sorry, we can't complete that transaction. You know, or Coinbase, you're going to send a transaction and they're just going to freeze the money for 3 months and say, please provide KYC documentation. Please provide a signed affidavit that's proving the identity of the user that you're sending the Bitcoin. Oh, sorry, that's an Electrum wallet. That wallet has not been registered with the U.S. government. Sorry, we are unable to request that. Please submit your dick scan. Please put your dick on the scanner, and you know, we need a biometric, you know, 3D biometric dick scanner. We cannot process that transaction. You know, you're going to be, I don't even want, it's just going to be such bullshit. All the reasons that people use Bitcoin, the ease and not have to do the registration and all, they're going to take that away from you. And they're going to try to, it's going to be like dealing with Bank America help support, you know, desk or something. It's just going to be like, it's going to be ridiculous. So, and this is what they're pushing through. So I think it's going to be a good year for crypto, and it's going to be ridiculous year for crypto too.
I think it's going to be a boost for privacy coins, especially Monero and Pirate Chain. And also the crypto that's already out there is going to get more valuable.
It's going to be very hard for people to get crypto. It's going to be very hard for them to buy it. And it's going to start circulating like cash, because right now you can sell it, you can put it on the exchange. Right now people buy crypto on Coinbase and they sell it on Coinbase and they have it on an exchange. They're going to, a lot of that money is going to be forced off the exchange. People are going to be paying their rent with it. They're going to be paying their neighbor. They're going to be paying the guy who mows their lawn in crypto. They're not going to, because they're not going to be able to sell it back into the financial system. They're going to, and they're going to want cash, you know, and so it's a really, it's going to be crazy. And I don't know if people have money to buy crypto after they've just been annihilated and screwed over with the check, and they've been in lockdown for a year and their business was destroyed, and they're, you know, getting charged massive rent at the same time they can't go outside to work. The governments have annihilated the economies, and they're going to keep these people locked in a cage like animals until they starve to death and they're ready to get on their knees and beg the government, and until they're willing to accept whatever policy or solution the government is pushing on. You know, we have the Great Reset, we have the Green New Deal, and they're gonna make people suffer until they're ready to accept this dystopia that they're gonna say, it's utopia, it's gonna be so wonderful. And you know what it is these mega corporations are gonna print up $10 trillion and put it in their pocket, and they're gonna say this is gonna be a utopia. We're gonna print up $10 trillion and give it to the world's biggest corporations, and they'll be 10 times bigger and richer than they were last year, and it's gonna be so wonderful, and it's gonna be this utopia, and there's gonna be social justice, and it's everyone and massive equality. And you say, how does giving these guys, the richest people on earth, another $10 trillion help me feed my dog, you know, help me send my children to school? How does that help me? It doesn't. It's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. But this is basically what, and there's going to be billions of green jobs in the environment. It's all bullshit. It's just like, how can the richest people on earth make themselves 10 times richer by printing up money at the Federal Reserve and putting it from shuffling the money from their left hand to the right hand, and they're going to
publishing everybody else.
Yeah, by impoverishing everyone else. So they're going to keep these people locked down and locked in the cage. They're talking about keeping the lockdowns going for 2022, 2023. They're saying that even after the virus, after the vaccine, that you still can't, you're still going to have to wear masks. And they're going to say, oh, there's a new strain of the virus. So yeah, you pay $800 for the vaccine, but no, you can't go outside. Stay in your house. Stay in there. You're not poor enough yet. And this could keep going on. You realize that this could keep going on for a while, for years. They might even, if they're making so much money on this bullshit, this scam, keeping these people locked in their houses like animals. They can keep this going to 2024. And they're making so much money on the testing and the vaccines and the money the government's throwing at them. And what's happening? Um, I it's really sick and it's disgusting. And you're going to see cash economies. You're going to see people moving out of the cities. You're going to see people building new little intentional communities because they need to survive. You're going to see the whole middle class that was built up since World War II disappear over the next 2 to 4 years. And the elite, in their plans, in the government guides, they know the people in the city. They know they're going to riot. They don't care. Let them burn the city down. Who cares? They're evacuating the cities. So the people aren't in cities, they can't riot. If London's evacuated in tier 15 lockdown, how can they riot? Right? You can't. So people are going to be moving, and they're going to be re-centralized. Moving into the rural area, building their own house with their own hands, growing some chickens, selling them to their neighbors for big. And you're going to see this movement. And so what we're seeing in terms of the evolution of society, the evolution of the economic system, is returning back to community currencies, returning back to community. And the people who don't have that are stuck in the ghetto with all these angry poor people, they're going to get stabbed and murdered. And the police aren't going to give a shit. They're not going to arrest these people. They're going to say, oh, well, there's no police. We're not going to, it's going to be like Detroit. In Detroit, you can go and burn a house. You go burn your house down. You call the fire department. They don't go to, sorry, we don't go to that neighborhood. It's too dangerous. We pulled out of that neighborhood. Sorry. And they just let the house burn. So you have whole city blocks that, all these houses and $1 million mansions, and it's just burnt out. A gang moved in, some crackheads. They're pissing everywhere on everything. They shit everywhere. They don't even use the toilet. And then they broke all the windows. And then one day they just burned the house down and then moved to the next house. Squatters. And this is the new economy that we're moving into, which is like ethnic gang war. And it's really, so one thing I want for Skywire, which I think is very important, is I want to get the internet into the third world, into these countries like Sri Lanka and these areas that don't have internet, and where people are getting scalped by telecom companies and things like that. And I want to get into the first world. I want to get into these like new communities and into the rural areas and start pushing out these monopoly cartels like Comcast. I really want to make it viable for these local communities to build their own network. And so that was always the goal for Skywire. And I think we're going to get closer to that goal, and we're going to start being able to do it. I don't think it's going to be a full-scale deployment, but I think we're going to at least be able to start deploying it in these rural communities, testing it, and get ready for a wide-scale deployment of 10,000, 20,000 communities, and how we're going to support them, and what hardware they need, and how do we train them. And and as far as the world's problems, I think that's the only,
crypto will be our salvation, with a informal crypto cash economy outside of the formal system, which will still give people some liberty and some freedom to transact, and with Skycoin and Skycoin's applications, some privacy. Synth, and on that profound note, that profound comment, I think we should finish up. I want to thank you for taking the time out to talk to me. If anybody has got comments or questions, put them below the video. Go join the Telegram group. Go ask your questions. Do your own due diligence. And do check out Skycoin. This is Crypto Rich and Crypto Synth signing out. All the best. Bye-bye.